You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Opening up the truth pipeline for these bitches.
Truth on Tap. Truth.
My right to say how I say it's mine to give. My right, my heart, it's mine to share. My soul,
Truth on Tap.
invite to use. Just permission to use. You can come and chop it up and recombine. Chop it up and
Truth
recombine.
on Tap.
Oh my God. August 17th, 2014, 2 o'clock in the morning, Gangrous featuring Stereo Black Star, Super Negro. Super Negro, we didn't get a chance to talk about racism tonight because one side of the debate bitched out. Yeah, got a little upset and just ran. Let's hope for the purposes of intellectual discovery that they'll come back and do another debate. I was really looking forward to a good debate on some major social issues. You guys will be able to contact me, and I'll have my communications lines open after I get done with my diatribe. That'll be in a few minutes. Yeah, black rappers, perfect for tonight. From France, bitches. Yeah. According to GoofyBone's clan, I don't know my ass from a shinola, and you know they're right, because I don't know what a shinola is. Yeah. Well, good for them. They got one right. You know, it's kind of hindsight is 2020, because if you would have stayed in the debate, you had a chance to prove yourself right. But I remember Teddy Atlas. You remember when Mike Tyson bit off part of Evander Holyfield's ear? He knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. He said he's going to find a way to foul out of this because he can't win. I'm sorry that's true. I didn't want it to be true. Everybody that knows me knows I wanted a good debate tonight. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Going to talk about all that goodness. I'll give you Skype and chat. Thanks, Random Radio Network. mr.kevin.kierstead is the Skype. I don't have Skype up yet. I also don't have the phone lines up. 910-NO-LYING. You can call in 910-665-9464. That also is not up yet because I get distracted with phone calls and stuff, and I need to get my premises out first. So we'll do that. We'll do that in a minute. First, I got to get some stuff off my chest. Yeah. Black Star. Super Negro. I've been brushing up on my French lately. Studied the shit for 5 years. Now I'm putting in a 6th year and I'll never use it. What the hell's the point? Oh well. Yeah, debates, fairness. You guys that have been with me know that there is nobody you're going to find that's more fair. You're just not. Good luck with that. For those of you that are just tuning into this to see what it is that we're going to be talking about, all you got to do is look at my show topics. Just look at the topics over the past 150 episodes or so. You'll get an idea. Yeah.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
That was Wes Johnson. Wes Johnson you can find at wesjohnson.com, the greatest voiceover actor and actor in general. He's actually been in movies. He's on IMDb. Wes Johnson, wesjohnson.com, you can find him. I want to thank everybody, first of all, that gave me a chance tonight. This was, first of all, let's define. Here's what you're supposed to do when you start something big, whether it's a debate or even in my case, defining what happened in the debate. You lay down the foundation, okay? Now, we did not have any foundation established. All we knew, all everybody knew, is that there was going to be a debate revolving around two major topics. That was racism and sexuality, all right? Well, Jewish Producer tweeted to me that there were 5 questions, and I thought this was agreed upon between both parties. This is something we ran into some confusion on, but let me get into it. First, I'm going to read you what they were, and then you tell me what's fair. He said, tonight's debate, number 1, does race exist? Number 2, does racism cut 2 ways? Number 3, why did the riots happen? Number 4, white guilt. And number 5, sex drive. Well, when these were presented to GoofyBone's team, they appeared to be caught off guard. Now, the first thing I did was start making concessions for them. It's the first thing I did. I said, okay, if you guys weren't prepared for these, it's not fair to hold you responsible for them. We'll just do what you were prepared for. Now, in hindsight, if you were told you were going to do a debate on racism and sexuality, and then you were later told that these were the questions, would you be caught off guard? The first 4 topics are directly about racism. This is something you've already agreed to have a debate about. They're just questions. You have to ask questions. So Jewish Producer threw some questions out there. Was something wrong with the questions? See, GoofyBone's team did not say, I have a problem with this or that. We aren't prepared for this or that. And I was still trying to give them a handicap. I was still trying to set them up to make that battlefield level. And now, he wants to go on his show and say that I wasn't fair, that I was somehow in Debi Daly's pocket. I'm in nobody's pocket. My whole format for this show has been, and you know I've done it too. I've even gone on GoofyBone's show. And one thing I did learn about him, I was entertained by his show. He was passionate about what he talked about. But what I learned about him is that he likes to yell if he's not winning. All right, this is typical Bill O'Reilly fashion. You scream if you're not winning. That doesn't work with me. See, I think you should be able to present your argument, whatever that may be, in a calm and collected, composed voice. And if your facts are strong and your research is solid, well, then you're going to make a pretty good show of yourself. But if you have to start yelling because things aren't going your way, then we have a problem. Now, to be fair, on GoofyBone's show, I called in. I wanted to be one of his fans. You know, I called into his show. We were talking about welfare. And I said, one of the things he said is that we need to stop giving money to foreign aid. You know, spend that money at home. Which is always ironic to me, because people that say we need to stop spending money in foreign aid and spend the money at home, then turn around and say nobody should be on welfare. And I'm like, okay, how did you want to spend that money again? So there's that. And he said, we got to, you know, we're wasting so much money on foreign aid. And I asked him, do you know how much money, how much of our annual budget is dedicated to foreign aid? And he said, no, I don't have my research in front of me. And I said, well, it's about 1%. And he agreed fairly calmly, to my surprise, based on what I know now, that that was a pretty low number, comparatively speaking. In order to support all of our allies and our programs that we claim we support and believe in around the world, we're spending 1% of our fucking budget on it. And that's all of a sudden something you're going to have a heart attack over. Now, he did not employ that yelling and anger in order to try to win his point when I was on his show. And the shows I had listened to before, I mean, I'd seen him get riled up, and I told people that's one of the things that GoofyBone has. He gets passionate about his topics. That's something that sells. Okay, where it does not sell is in a debate where you have to rely on intellect and not volume. And what I saw was a fouling out tonight. I saw somebody quit. Now, I don't have everybody's name down, and this is yet another testament to the fact that I was a fair person. I don't even know everybody on Spreaker. I didn't even know all of these people in this debate. I just knew that we were setting some rules up, and we were doing this on the fly, and no sheet had been handed around to anybody. We were doing it at the beginning of the debate, saying, what are the rules going to be? And then GoofyBone's side starts claiming fouls. And I'm going, okay, is that going to be a foul? And I was the first one to say, I think his argument, who was that person? If Kim's in chat, who was the person? Stabby, what's up? Big DC Network is in here. Random Radio is in here. You guys know that. Alan, Wayne. He's going to be calling in later, as a matter of fact. I need you guys to help me a little bit on names if you're familiar with all these players. Who was the guy speaking for GoofyBone's side? It wasn't him. He piped up a couple times screaming, but it wasn't him carrying the intellectual side of it. I can't remember who that was. I don't know the names too well. But whoever it was making a fairly decent approach to opening the debate. And Mr. Solutions, okay, so that was Mr. Solutions for GoofyBone's side. And he wasn't doing anything wrong. He just kind of jumped the gun a little on starting the debate, because just before that we've been discussing, okay, what are the rules here? How are we going to handle this? And then he started on, listing off these 5 colors of people to start to define racism. And I said, hold on, okay, we're starting. So we're starting. And so think about the preparation that everybody had for this debate. Nobody had preparation. I mean, people might have looked up the topics, but there was no rule list. And in fairness, I asked Debbie a couple of times, and Debbie will agree to this, can you give me some kind of rule list I can go on so I can be prepared? And she was caught up in everything else she was doing, probably doing her own research on the topics, and I didn't get a response to that stuff. So I did not have a rule list to work with. We were establishing that up front. She did have an idea, and I thought it was a good idea, that 3 strikes you're out if you're going to foul. Okay, but we still had not established what a foul would be yet. We were in the process of doing that when GoofyBone imploded. Because I think one angry Jew, and this is something we're going to talk about regarding formal debate rules, he did something that was fair, and I still called him out for it. I said, I think that Mr. Solutions' argument was that you interrupted. Who am I siding with? So I said, the argument is that you interrupted. Now, are we going to call that a foul? And it was right at that point, there we are still trying to establish the rules in this opening volley, that GoofyBone blew his fucking lid. Okay? Let me tell you something about GoofyBone right now. He's not going to do well in a debate scenario because his emotions overcome his intellect. I don't know the depth of his intellect because I haven't had time to get to know him. But if he couldn't handle the first foul, this is the equivalent of 2 boxers. They go into a match. Round 1 bell has just barely rung. One of them throws a low blow. Now, here's what happens when that happens. The judge, or the referee, will typically give the offending party a warning. What he could do, if it looked intentional, is go ahead and take a point away. But what doesn't happen is that the party that got hit with the low blow takes off and leaves. That's a forfeit. You have forfeited. You have lost. The mature thing to do is say, okay, maybe somebody already overstepped the bounds, but we are still defining the boundaries of this debate. I didn't want to be a part of this debate. I didn't want to be injected into it. A good debate, you don't hear from the moderator much. And I said that up front. I said, as long as everybody's following the rules, you won't even know I'm here. But that's not what happened, was it? What happened was an all-out gangster-ass ghetto attack coming from both sides, where Debbie's team was more composed, and I need to give her team props, and I'm doing this from a perfectly neutral standpoint. They maintained their professionalism, and with the exception of one angry Jew interrupting Mr. Solutions, there was no real foul up to that point. We had just begun. So if you're just beginning a debate and you flip the fuck out and start screaming honky donkey shit, and then you go and attack me as the moderator because you can't handle tapping into your intellectual resources to have a good debate on 5 important questions which revolve around 2 important topics in American society today, then you forfeited properly. You said, I give up. Mike Tyson didn't walk out of the ring, did he? He took a chunk of Evander's ear with him. That's what GoofyBone did. Now, GoofyBone, you have a chance to clear up whether or not you're capable in debate. But before you'll ever do that with anybody, you've got to get your temper under control, or you're going to lose, because you're going to foul out. I understand getting excited about stuff. I understand wanting fairness. I'm the king of fairness. But when you don't get it right up front, immediately, you can't flip the fuck out and run. That's not ever going to serve you well. Now, the people that are following you that like to watch you explode, I can't blame them. That's good entertainment. But it's never going to win you a debate. The person that wins a debate is the person who presents a reasonable, logical, consistent argument with supporting data. And those data need to be from reputable sources. And you had a whole team there that was ready to go. And you snapped out of the gate. You snapped. That's a loss. You forfeited. I'm sorry about that. I hope that Debbie gives you another chance. I don't think she's going to. I think she realizes that that type of effort is futile if you're going to snap. However, I may arrange something on my show where you can do a debate. I don't know. What I will tell you guys about this show, this one I'm doing right now, is this is the only show I will ever do regarding what GoofyBone or anybody else has said about me vis-a-vis the debate and my moderation skills. Okay? Hey, Apocalypse, what's up? Apocalypse, the greatest personality in the universe. Yeah, you can call in to ask questions, Big DC. That's not a problem, but not yet. Not yet. I got to get my rant off, and then I take calls. And that's how I don't know why I do my show that way, but I do. That's become habit, so I'm going to stick with that if you don't mind. I'll start taking calls about 15 minutes from now. So just stick with me till then. Let me get what I need to get off my chest. There is not a more fair person in the universe you're going to find than me. This false concept that I was somehow leaning toward Debi Daly's side. When you listen to the fucking show, I'm trying to make concessions to get GoofyBone's side a break on several occasions. So you're just wrong. I mean, just listen to it. Anybody who's thinking without their emotion ruling the thought and is thinking with logic and reason realizes I was being fair. We were still trying to establish the goddamn rules. Technically, if you want to use the boxing analogy, they quit before the first bell rang. Ridiculous. So if you want to get mad at me, go ahead. But biting my ear off is not going to win you the fight, my friend. Boxing, hitting hard, sticking to your combinations and counter punches, using your defense, bobbing and weaving, moving around the ring, feints, hard shots. That's what wins you the boxing match. Not biting my ear off. It doesn't work. So you have to deal with the loss. That's on you. We'll see how that goes. I will take calls, like I said, here at about 2:30 Alpha Mama Eastern Time. But I need to talk a little bit more about debate. Now, I want you to keep something in mind here. Nobody had any preparation for this debate. I've never moderated a debate. You're going, well, were you qualified at all? That's up to you to decide. You know, for those of you that didn't know, quick history of me, I was U.S. Air Force 90 to 94, did electronics, 96 to 99, and 2002 to 2004, I went to Christopher Newport University, the sister college of William and Mary, majoring in English and psychology, with a writing concentration in English. You know, as far as academia goes, I'm pretty far up on the scale. I don't know what kind of scale you want to use. So I was prepared for this intellectually. I was prepared to do this the right way. But I had not been in any way schooled in debate moderation. I mean, I'm Googling the shit going, okay, what are the rules typically? All I had was all the debates I'd seen in the past and how those moderators had behaved. So I went and pulled up this debatingsociety.ca. This is Canadian, but it's informative. So what I'm going to do, for those of you that don't know, you can Google this and read along with me if you want. Just Google how to moderate debates. And you'll see a result there from debatingsociety.ca, and it's basically moderator instructions. And I think they've summed it up in 3 pages here, everything that matters about it. And if you review this document, or one that you find reputable, and compare it to the show that happened, you're not going to find a mistake that I made. I could have made a mistake, and I'm a guy that'll say right up front, I've never done a debate moderation before. Did I do something wrong? Help me correct it. But when I looked over these rules, I'm like, you know what? I was kind of sticking to the format, man. I was following the rules. A good debate moderator is not heard from. That assumes that the people in the debate are following the fucking rules. So I was heard way more than I wanted to be heard during this debate. I was tuning in to listen. I just wanted to be a listener. I didn't think I would have a real job. I had this false assumption that people would understand the rules and abide by them. You know, it just went straight ghetto right out of the gate. Just no control, you know, a lot of heightened emotions. And, you know, we're animals. You guys have heard me say it a million times before. We are animals. We're animals with opposable fucking thumbs and decent reasoning skills. That's about it. And what happens as soon as emotion starts climbing up is that thin veil that you call civilized behavior is removed, and the animal comes out. Well, in a debate, if you're going to be intelligent, think of the last few presidential debates you saw. You're going to stay cool, and you're going to give your talking points, and you're going to support them. Then, on the counter, and there are sometimes counters, you will answer the questions that you either didn't answer fully on the first run through, or are new questions that are based upon and branching off of the questions you answered the last time through. Okay? That's what happens. Now, I'm sitting here looking at this debate guideline for moderators, and some of the stuff I'm looking at doesn't really apply because we didn't get that deep into the debate. But here's an example. It says, this is the second paragraph, if a debater is making it difficult for the judges or audience to hear what another debater is saying, for instance, by shuffling paper, tapping toes, or whispering loudly, say to him or her, you are making it difficult for us to hear the debater who has the floor. Would you kindly desist? Now, GoofyBone's team is going to say that because Angry Jew interrupted, that was the equivalent of this. But hold on, because there's a certain type of interruption that's typically accepted in debates. Here's what I'm doing. This is called deductive reasoning. This is down at the bottom of the page. Let me find it real quick. Okay, this is about the heckling. If a debater is using improper heckling to disrupt the delivery of an opposing speech, say pointedly, the judges are to penalize any debater, listen to this, who is interrupting another excessively or thoughtlessly, or who is lowering the level of a debate. Now stop there. Was one angry Jew being excessive or excessively interrupting, or thoughtless, or lowering the level of debate by asking Mr. Solutions to first list what he was defining before he defined it, rather than to define something and then list what he had just defined? I don't see that as lowering the level of the debate. I see that as actually helping the people to understand the debate. So in retrospect, looking at this and comparing it to that, there was no offense there. There was no foul. And still I reprimanded him, saying, I think the argument is that you interrupted. And he did interrupt. But according to these rules, which are used by official debating societies, and this is in a parliamentary style debate, which actually one angry Jew mentioned that it was a parliamentary inquiry. So it is consistent, and he was right about that. If you want to disagree with that, I don't know what grounds you would be on. You know, it says here, if a debater is unruly and refuses to obey you, you can have him or her removed from the House if this is a parliamentary debate. This extreme action should be taken only if the debater persists in breaking the rules after repeatedly being called to order and being warned of imminent expulsion. So they want me to do what? Because one angry Jew wanted clarification and interrupted to try to get that clarification, they wanted me to disqualify him, send him out. That happens in no debate in the world. I don't know. I think we have put and this is something else. This is where I'm going to reprimand myself. It says here, it cannot be overemphasized that you should refrain from interfering in a debate any more than is absolutely necessary. The best moderator is usually the one least often heard. The slightest reprimand you give a debater is liable to influence the judges very strongly. Now, I did jump Goofy for coming in with the yelling stuff. I had to lay the rules down there that yelling and screaming does not win debates, and it's not going to work here. And as it says here, your job is vitally important. It says here, at the same time, remember how frustrating it is to debate when the moderator is weak. So be firm. Okay? You need a judge or a moderator to come in and say, these are the fucking rules, and they're not going to be broken. However, we had not established the rules yet. We were in the process of doing that. So if you thought I was just going to sit back and say nothing while people screamed and yelled and hollered and went off topic, well, that's not what I was asked to do in this debate, and that's not what I did. What a shame. What a shame, because I see the capability that this debate had to not only shed some light on these two networks of people and what they knew and what they didn't know and the topics that were important to our society today, but it also had a chance to bridge some gaps. Because if you've listened to any of my past shows, you know I'm not about this Spreaker host-on-host shit. I think it's a waste. It can be entertaining for some people, so for that reason alone, being a fan of capitalism, I say, okay, go ahead if it's working for you, but I hate to see it. It's such a waste to have host attacking host. This is why I'm only doing this show, to defend myself, and to make sure that anybody who has a question, well, I wonder what the moderator was thinking about all this shit that's been said about him. This is your answer. It's in this show, and I'm never doing another show on it again. Hold on 1 second, and I'll check what you guys are saying in chat room. I did see the potential for this to be a great debate. I was really looking forward to it. Had my coffee. I was ready to mute my mic and sit the fuck back and listen. But that's not how it rolled. It went off like a bomb. I mean, if I had known what I know now about the personalities involved in the debate, I would have been able to accurately predict that this is the way it would have gone. However, I didn't. I actually thought this was going to be a reasonable debate. I had some people warn me this is going to descend into chaos quickly. And I told Debbie, I said, you do understand, and I said it on the show, you understand the capacity this has to quickly descend into chaos and lose all order. And she said, yeah, it probably will. But I didn't know that coming in. I was naive. I thought we were going to have a good debate. If GoofyBone wants to have a debate, and he wants to test his ability to provide reason and logic behind his viewpoints, I think he should be given a chance to do that. But I don't think he's going to be given a chance to do that from Debi Daly's side. Maybe somebody out there who's listening to this show, who truly is neutral on all this stuff, as I am right now, can provide a format for that and say, listen, I'm going to be, and bring in a moderator that, you know, if you don't want to use me, fine. But find somebody who doesn't favor either side and who's going to be fair. I'll tell you if they're fair. Let me judge them. Because one thing I'm decent at is judging people's level of fairness. I'm good with that. Apocalypse says, one angry Jew and his monotone cruelty, it was over before it began. Even Debbie was screaming at him throughout the show before it even began. I suspect he was there to incite, not to debate. Mech plus Goofy explained their reasons for not liking the way you handled the situation. Did you hear his show by chance, Kevin? No, I heard a few things from the show, from Debi Daly's show, which was going to be the debate. We listened in, and I just heard a lot of anger. So they were hurling shit at me. I don't care. I know I'm fair. I don't need their approval of how I handled moderating a debate that nobody had any time to prepare for and that I didn't have a rule list for. Think I give a fuck what they think about that? Get the fuck out of here. It's easy. It's easy. Well, you know, hindsight's 20/20, isn't it, Apocalypse? I mean, they may have had some good points too. I asked the people there, what did I do wrong? You tell me what I did wrong so I don't make the same mistakes next time. And what I did wrong, it turns out, is to not attack Debi Daly's team. That's what I did wrong. That's what they wanted me to do. Sorry. You know, It's just not going to happen. Have you guys that were involved in the debate figured out why it went the way it went? If you were to really pick it apart, does it just come down to one man's personality? Or was there something a little larger at work? Was there cohesion in Team GoofyBone? Because my guess on this, and it is just a guess at this point, is that the group that composed GoofyBone's team was a loosely formed group of people who wanted to hate Debi Daly. Now, they may have great reasons for that. They may have shitty reasons for that. But you can't join together with a group that hates one party and think that because you share that in common, that you're going to be cohesive as a team. And I never detected the slightest sense of cohesion among his team. It just, for one thing, we only heard from 2 individuals, and we barely got a chance to get started before one of them snapped. So, you know, okay, so Alan's gonna call into. We're getting ready to do calls right here, but I have something personal to take care of real quick, so I'm going to play one song for you guys while you chat in the chat room there, and then I'll be right back. Is the Wizzy with the Kizzer? I believe it is. Opening up Skype now. Getting ready for you motherfuckers. GoofyBone is also welcome to call in to give his side of the story. and I'll say this in case he's listening now, the yelling shit will be an immediate disconnect. I have no patience for that. If you've got a decent argument to make, you can make it in a normal tone. So keep that in mind. The yelling, the screaming, the obscenities, the honky-donkey. What the fuck is a honky-donkey? None of that's going to go. Not on my show. Okay, I got a couple requests here. I'm accepting you. I don't know who you... I'm not sure who everybody is, but you're all welcome to connect on Skype. Now, keep in mind, I am not well-versed with Skype, so it may take me a little bit of fiddling to get everybody in on the call. This is not something I've... with my show, I haven't focused on calls much. I've focused on songs and talking and learning sound effects and formatting and all that. So this is kind of something I'm not really well-versed in. David Cunningham is calling. Let's see who else we have. Got a couple calls. Alan Wayne's calling. Okay, now it looks like... Who can hear me right now?
Hey, it's Alan Wayne.
Alan Wayne. Alan's on the line. Okay. David Cunningham is also... Okay, who's David Cunningham? I think I need to figure out how to add him. I did this the other night. How do I add him to the call? I've got him on hold.
I think there's a button there that says add to call or add to conference or something. I'm not too up on the Skype myself.
Add to group call. You're right. You're right.
Group call. Mm-hmm.
Okay, David Cunningham. It says call failed now. David, can you hear me? Let me add you too. Okay, Alan, can you still hear me?
Absolutely.
David, are you there? I don't think David... It says he's on the call, but I don't see anything going on there. Resume call. David, are you there? Yeah, I don't think I have him. Anyway, let's go with you, Alan. What's up, my brother? Talk to us.
Hey, Kevin. Had a chance to listen to the debates, and or listen to what transpired this evening, and man, what a shame. It was a shame.
It is. It was a lost opportunity.
Definitely.
Hello?
I answered the damn call.
Hello?
Okay, are you there, David?
Yes, I am.
Let me try to add you to this group conversation. I'm still learning how to do this. Sorry.
Not a problem. Go ahead.
Call on hold. David. Okay, so I've got you on, so I'm going to have to go back to Alan Wayne and add him to the group call. See, I've got you as already part of my group call, but I've also got you calling in on another line. So it's showing that I'm connected to David Cunningham twice here. That makes no sense to me.
Huh.
You guys are going to have to bear with me while I figure out the technical end of this.
Well, let me hang it up and try to call that group thing.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to hang up right now.
Okay. All right, it says I still got the call on hold. I don't get this. Leave group call, resume call. Okay, that's what I just did.
Wow. I don't know if that
okay, who all's here right now? I've got Alan, I know. David, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Hello,
okay.
David.
Hello.
All right, so we'll let Alan continue, and then we'll go from there.
Sure.
I was thinking that if you would have taken the bull by the horns, I think I was telling you this, if you would have taken the bull by the horns and said, look, everybody shut up, everybody, calm down, let's, get this going, and ask the questions, and then let them respond, it could have gotten back on track. But then I sat back and thought about it, and I think you were put in a bad situation, Kevin. I don't think there was any way this was going to go off.
Yeah. You're right. I could have done that and probably should have, but I didn't know anything. I was coming in blind to this.
Well, it's just, when somebody steps over the line and starts hollering, like, for instance, when one angry Jew was making his comments, it should have been an automatic point deduction. If there was a point system in place, automatic point deduction. And it would have been like, why? It's like, because Mr. Solutions had the floor.
That's true.
When he's done with the floor, then it's like the conch shell in Lord of the Flies, man. You hand the conch shell to the person who speaks. And that's the way the debate could have gone. Point is, with these volatile personalities, I felt that a moderator would have to be somebody who could say, now listen, both of you, you both need to get over yourselves. You both need to stop, hollering and start talking and start, put the hatred aside for a minute, set aside the personal attacks. And it would have to be somebody who would just rope it in, who would just tie it down, rope it in, and basically take control of that portion of the debate. Basically, what they needed was a babysitter, not a professional moderator. They needed somebody who would crack the whip. And you went into
and
it
I
like
didn't.
a pro.
You're right.
You went into it like a pro, though. You went into it thinking that you were dealing with people who were of a professional mind.
Right.
And that is not that is not who you're dealing with. But I mean,
agree.
plain and simple. I've been on both sides of this. I've been on both sides of this hate fest. I'm notorious for being on both sides of this thing. And one day, it got a little too close. I had to drop out of sight for a few days, but I came back with kind of this renewed enthusiasm to be more like yourself and other hosts I've heard, where I put on a show. You don't get into the bashing. You don't get into all of that stuff. You just put on a show. So in that spirit, I decided to call GoofyBone and say, hey, you guys need a moderator? I can be fair. I got laughed off their show. I got laughed off their show because of my prior, I don't know, I guess you could say because of my prior transgressions. But I figured, I knew both sides. I knew the history. I knew all that. It would just be a matter of saying, look, you shut up. You shut up. This person has the floor. Speak. And then it would be a matter of the moderator would need to ask the questions and then say, you, go. And then time it and then be like, okay, you're done. You go. It would have to be a rigidly, strictly timed event where people were policed. You were thinking of going into it as a, like a political debate, like polished.
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Debaters.
Yes.
No. These are not polished political debaters. They're great on the radio, but that doesn't. I don't think that translates well to a debate. A debate is an intellectual exercise where people need to learn to rein in their emotions and channel them into thought and channel them into good skills of being, for lack of a better term, skill of being able to manipulate the point they're trying to make in a favorable way to where the moderator gives them the edge. And I think that it's not. I mean, hats off to you, man, for jumping into this and trying to be a fair guy. But I think you were doomed
I drowned.
from the start, man.
I drowned. What do you think about this whole thing, David?
Well, before I answer that, did I hear you say you were in the Air Force?
Oh, that is correct. 1990 to 94.
Okay, well, first of all,
thank you for your service.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, you're very welcome. I always say thank you for letting me join the world's greatest Air Force and paying my salary while I was in.
Well,
thank you for that.
Without you guys, there would be no United States, so thank you.
Amen.
But anyways, I was not part of the debate. I was just a spectator, listener, a fan, whatever you want to call it. My thoughts were this. I actually did go listen to GoofyBone's show. And if I remember right, you were explaining earlier that you were given no knowledge of the rules or anything like that, right?
Yeah, there were no rules put up front.
Right. And here's the thing. GoofyBone even acknowledges that on his own show before Debbie ever calls there. And if you remember right, when Debbie called, you guys are all talking about this, he starts going off about that, about, well, you don't even know the rules. You don't even know the rules. You're supposed to know the rules. Well, he even acknowledged that you didn't know them to begin with. So he was going into this with that knowledge there. What it sounds like to me is that these gentlemen are just looking for any avenue to bash, Debbie's crew. I mean,
I sensed that hostility, and we should put up front that if someone's popular on a radio network, they're going to be a target. Now, for all we know, GoofyBone had a great reason for going after Debi Daly. Maybe she's done some terrible things. I don't know her history, but that's not what the debate was for, and that's what I wanted to establish up front, and it just exploded. It was like, I hate, therefore I explode.
Now,
we didn't even get into it.
Can I ask you this question, Kevin?
Sure, go ahead.
Did either side ever ask you to do this on an independent show that had nothing to do with either one of those two shows? Was that ever proposed?
No. Do you mean, did they ask for neutral territory? No.
That's what I mean. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. No, nobody asked me that or anything like that. In fact, GoofyBone's side didn't contact me at all about it. And I was having trouble getting messages back from Debbie because I sent Debbie several messages saying, listen, I need to know the rules so that I know my role in this. And she wrote a couple of times, that we probably should do a 3 strikes you're out thing if people break the rules. And she did say the personal attacks have to be ruled out. We can't have the personal attacks. So that's all I went in knowing, is no personal attacks. So I was forced to Google how to moderate a debate and then try to set up some rules. And it was all impromptu.
Now, see, Mezcal was saying earlier on Goofy Show, like I said, I listened to it before I came on here, that they weren't going to do personal attacks. And right after he says that, they were doing them then before Debbie even called. I mean, I just couldn't quite understand, just the mentality that they were using. But
I think it comes down to what Alan said, and that is that they were not able to switch off their hatred to go into professional debate mode. I foolishly thought they would go into professional debate mode, and I was incorrect. They hate each other. They can't stand each other.
There is history. There is a long history between those two. Very long history that I'm not going to go into because I don't want to mud up your show with it. But there's a long history between those two. And
well, feel free to talk about it, man, because this show is the only show I'm doing about this debate. I'm done with this shit after this.
All right, I'll tell you what I know, because I've only been on Spreaker about a year, but I've been kind of filled into what happened. At some point, sometime last year or the year before, I'm not sure, but these two hosts were together on Blog Talk Radio, and that's another hosting site. And long story short, GoofyBone was what they call 404, which means his page was removed, and that was because I'm not sure the reason, but there was speculation that Debbie was the one who made it happen. So GoofyBone goes over to Spreaker, and the rumor is, and I don't know if this is true or not, so this is all, could be all bullshit, who knows, but the rumor is that Debi Daly went to Spreaker after GoofyBone. She'll say she didn't, but the rumor is that she went after GoofyBone, and that has made, I have it on good knowledge from somebody I trust one of the few people I trust on this platform, that was what occurred, that she followed him over here, and it's just been an antagonistic, attacking each other's shows, calling into each other's shows. Kevin, it might be very possible that this whole debate was not going to be straight from the beginning, and that it was all just one big publicity stunt to get everyone riled up, and boy, did we fall for it.
You're right. It could have been. And if that was the goal, they win. If that was the goal.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sane people, and I'm not saying anybody is insane, but the average human being would look at a debate and think, well, okay, let's go ahead and have a debate and let's do things the right way, like Mr. Kevin.Kierstead. What other people look at is they look at how can this boost the listenership of my show? How can this make everybody go crazy And everybody, you know, when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off, to use your analogy, he became legendary. But in another way, he became infamous. But he got his name in the paper again, man. People want to talk about Tyson. Now what is he doing? He's doing speaking tours. He's beloved. He's become a big teddy bear since that incident. In fact, it was one of the best things that could have happened for both his career and his bank account, and had nothing to do with boxing. It had something to do with his teeth. So, you know, there is a possibility that this was all just a stunt. I'm not saying they coordinated it, but I don't think you would ever get an honest debate out of these two. I called to moderate, and I got laughed off because of my history. They didn't want anything to do with me, saying that I wouldn't be impartial. But, you know, Kevin, you're a good guy who got caught up in a bad situation. And if I were you, I'd walk away from it right now and say, I have nothing to do with this. You're on your own, you guys. You know, take that high road.
I want to say this, Alan. You make a very valid point there about the publicity and things. I remember a year or two ago, there was a couple of shows on Spreaker. I'm not going to mention any names because it seems to have calmed down. And this one show just kept going at this other guy, and it had nothing to do with these shows tonight. But he just kept going at him all the time. And the more he went at him, there was, and this guy, the guy that was being gone at, he exploded on his own show because these guys called in, and he exploded on his own show. And I knew this guy personally. And,
I know who that guy is. I heard the drop just a few days ago.
I'm not going to say, but I'll tell you.
But I know. I got you.
The episode that he exploded on, I can tell you this: he had over 200 listeners, unique listeners, to that one episode. But he also gained, it was like 30 or 40 regular listeners because of it.
Yep. I know that all too well because when I did, just real quick, not about me or anything, but when I did straight shows for the first 6 months I was on, I had maybe 2,700 plays, and I had about 200 followers, and you know, a lot of them didn't have accounts. And then when I started bashing other hosts, which was a calculated move, because I figured, hey, everybody's having fun, this isn't going to fly into my backyard, and I started bashing other hosts. Boy, did my numbers explode. I was up to, by the time I deactivated my account for, you know, just because of, I'll just go say what I thought was security reasons. I won't get into that. I had close to 10,000 listens and close to 400 followers. It's amazing what kind of popularity can be gained, and all you have to do is look at the world today. Go to your supermarket and buy a loaf of bread. What's there next to the checkout stand? Are the tabloids. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? This one person has implants. This one person goes to, you know, went on vacation and look how good she looks in a bikini. These aren't real issues, but these tabloids make money. They're very profitable. Why are they profitable? Because people they have this, like you said, Kevin, it's that human thing where people like to get in the mud. And there's a large segment of the population who doesn't want to listen to a good quality show. They want to hear somebody get hurt. They want to hear somebody get bashed. They want to hear somebody, and take it from me, I was one of the most notorious bashers. I had to basically push the reset button on my entire Spreaker experience because of it. And I've learned, and gosh, I don't care about the hits really anymore. It's good that people listen to my shows, but if they don't, if they find me too boring because I don't, you know, go after a host or whatever, then then they're not my audience, you know? They're not my audience. And that's what I had to find out the hard way. But I mean, it's the same thing. In both chat rooms, in both camps, it's all about, you know, not all about, because they have different topics, different shows, but there are a lot of shows that revolve around this feud. And you're an honest man who got caught up in a crooked situation, Kevin, and I feel bad for you about that.
I think you understand me, man. You absolutely have been right about everything you've said so far, Alan.
You know,
I told Debbie earlier. Well, I told Debbie earlier, I said, I look forward to doing future debates if you want to do any, but thinking about what you just said, I'm actually considering completely ducking out of all this because I don't want to be involved in that drama, and it's not fair for me to profit off other people's misery, which is why I'm only doing one show about this, you know.
Yeah, Kevin, when I saw you in GoofyBone's chat, I was thinking, oh no, another one. because you know, you would see these hosts, they'd come in for like maybe a month or two, and they'd get the GoofyBone experience, or they'd get the Debi Daly experience, and then they'd and then they'd go on their merry way, because they realized what it's all about. I mean, they both have very unique shows, and they don't spend all of their time on each other. I don't want to say that, but there is a definite level of hatred there. And you know what? Think about this. Now, this would blow the Spreaker mindscape, but think about this. What if they're in on it? Nobody thinks about that. Nobody thinks about the behind the scenes. Nobody thinks that possibly, maybe, this is all an elaborate ruse.
Well, can I tell you this much? As I said earlier on Debbie's show, I actually have a friend that lives in New York, and I told this earlier. He actually worked on the Howard Stern show for 5 years. He was behind the scenes and everything. He was never in the air. And he actually told that when Howard would, do these bashes against people, or he'd call up radio stations or whatever, he actually would call these people like a week or two ahead of time and, tell them what he was going to do, get their opinions on it, make sure they were okay with it. Now, this is one of the largest shock jocks in the entire world. Where he did it. And you know what it means for the other show? Opie and Anthony did the same thing. Rest in peace, O&A show. They did the same thing. They went and they did something called Jocktober, which they bash other hosts for the whole month of October. And I thought about it, and I'm thinking, how can they get away with that? And the only way they can get away with that without breaking some sort of, I don't know, there must be some sort of law against it, or some sort of statute at least. But the only way they could get away with that is if they said, look, at SiriusXM, we have over X amount of listeners. Your show is this little podunk show in terrestrial hell. How about we bash you, and you get a lot of attention. I mean,
pure and simple.
When you got people that's agreeing to it, saying, "Yeah, go ahead and do it," and then and I'll tell you, when Howard was, Howard actually had a show on TV for a while too, and if you notice, a lot of he bashed actually appeared as guests. And
they turned around, and then they're friends, and then they're cool, and everything's cool. I can't tell you how many Skype conversations I've had before a show where it's me and another host, and it's like, okay, so how are we going to play this?
That's what the hosts here on Spreaker is. That's what the hosts here on Spreaker don't realize. They just call other shows, they start bashing everybody, and they don't realize that, hey, you might be doing some serious harm, seriously, to somebody. But when
it got a little close to me,
Well, when you talk to the person ahead of time and say, hey, this might help both of us, it might help my listenership, might help yours, and you're both in agreement, and everything's worked out ahead of time, that can do wonders for you.
Absolutely. And I've had a few different relationships like that.
I mean, I don't get into a whole lot of that, but I would say,
David, what was your nickname on the debate tonight, so I can try to place you?
I wasn't on the debate. I called in after the debate.
Okay, so I've got you confused with somebody. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't on the debate. I called in after. I go by the name of the Big DC Network.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Now I remember you being there.
So
this is not for me, man. I got to go back to my small listener base. Yeah, I mean, it's. I was wrong. I thought we were going to have a great debate, and maybe I get a little bit of publicity out of it. But ultimately, a good official stays out of it, and there was no way I could have.
That's true, Kevin. You're on iHeartRadio, man. You do a good show. Yeah. You do a good quality show. You do your own show. Take it from someone who's been rolled by this whole dramatic issue, and actually was like, befuddled and confused. Thought, hey, I'm gonna do shock radio, and then people were actually starting to take it into my personal life. You don't want none. You do not want none. I will stick.
You're getting me in trouble.
Dyslex?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to add you to the group call, but I don't know if I can do that.
Do what? You can do
I'm trying to add you to the group call.
I'm fairly open and sexual, so if you would like to do me, Kevin, you could definitely do me.
Why the hell can't I add him to the group call? Do me a favor, Dyslex. Please try to call back in about 10 seconds.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, I think I just lost everybody off Skype. I'm sorry. Here comes... All right, I've got David back. I've got Alan back. Now I got to figure out how to add Dyslex when he calls in.
Somehow I got booted.
Okay. You back, Alan?
Yeah, I'm here, man. I thought you were hanging up on me because I was going to do a plug.
No. Yeah.
But I have this podcast, the Random Radio Podcast. It's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, and it's on the Intellectual Network, which is a really neat site. A lot of entertainment and arts and current events and things like that on the site, and I'm happy to be a part of that network. I like Spreaker because it gives me kind of this freedom that iTunes can't, which is to play some music and have some fun and joke around, you know. But yeah, man. I mean, you know, I'm just gonna keep on doing that. You know, I mean, all this Spreaker stuff was just a big waste of time, and it got some. Yeah. It was fun for a minute. You know, you get that exhilaration of getting a rise out of somebody, but after a while, you think some of these people, number one, are going to take it seriously, and number two, even if they don't, what kind of business is that, to lose all of your creativity and to take all your creativity and put it in this shaming, slandering type of show? It doesn't make any sense when there's so much in the world to talk about.
Can I give an example of what hatred can cause? Take Nazi Germany, for example. Adolf Hitler. We've seen the outcome of hatred there.
Cult of personality he was. Very charismatic.
6 million Jews, you know, killed and things, and the things he did to his own people as well. Hatred is not going to get you anywhere. No, and I was under the wrong assumption. I made a big mistake of, I'm going to get listens and I'm going to do this and everybody's in on it. Well, guess what? Doesn't work that way. And I learned the hard way. So Kevin, you're too good for this. You really are. You got a good show. You got a good following. Get out of it. Climb out of the tar pit. Climb out of the pit. Climb out of the sand. Just do. I think you're right, man. Do, man. You do it well. You do it well, and no more debates. No more publicity stunts. No more lunacy, man. Just get out of it. Take it from someone who's. Take it from. I'm testifying, man. Take it from someone who's been in it. No, you don't want any of it. Trust me. I think you're right. It gets way too stupid. And you know what? I'm going to be a listener to your show. I'm going to listen to more shows like yours that are actually centered on content and not somebody's maniacal railing on someone else. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. And that's why I'm just letting you run with this show, Alan, because you're not only putting everything into context, but you already understand me, I think, because you're the same type of host. Whatever you did in the past, you're wiping away and saying, I want to do content. And I've told all my listeners, content is king. There is no substitute for content. And if you're doing a good show that can be informative, people are going to love you for it. But it's true that if you get into these wars, your listenership can go way up. I think this buzzing is Dyslex in the background. I don't know why I'm not hearing him. Can I ask where you found Alan at? Because he sounds very, very intelligent.
He is. Random Radio Network. Alan, why don't you talk about your productions and what you do?
Well, I had to wipe it all clean, as I said, because number one, I wanted to get out of it, but number two, I might be having some PDs looking at my stuff pretty soon because I do go to school for broadcasting. So there's not much up there. There's a show I did this morning from my phone, just some music. Because Spreaker, the great thing about Spreaker is they allow that creativity and that just spur of the moment on the fly, record on your phone. I want to play a few songs while I'm driving to work. Why don't I share it with the world? Maybe somebody else will like it, you know? They allow that creativity. I like that. So right now there's one show up, and I basically cleared out my entire library, but you can find me on The Intellectual, www.theintellectual.com, but it's spelled INTELLEXUAL. And there's a lot of good podcasts on there. There's a podcast that recently made the top 20 on iTunes about Robin Williams. It was a memorial podcast, and it was superbly done by the head of the network, David Dawson. My show contains a co-host, and it's called the Random Radio Podcast, and we just talk about various things. Like last show, I talked about my experience with internet trolling and basically kind of a guide to keep yourself out of hot water if you're on the internet. Keep people from, getting your information, because it's so easy. I found out that with 15 minutes and with $15, you can get any address.
Oh, yeah.
In the United States.
I believe it.
It is ridiculous. Yeah. So I was wondering how there was a person who got my information. I wondered how they did it, so I did some research, and it's not very hard at all, Kevin. I mean, and people will take it to this level. That's why I wanted out, because I have a lot to protect, as you do as well. You're a family man. You have a lot to protect. So do I.
Yeah.
So I decided to step out of it because like a couple of hours of fun radio and having a ball and, doing all that stuff is not worth the harassment or having to worry about what's going on, about internet radio, Kevin. This is supposed to be fun.
Well, I'll tell you this. Whenever someone starts getting into your personal information and they try to get your personal stuff so they can find out who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing, and they're stalking you and stuff, that's ridiculous. They shouldn't even be doing that. I mean, there's no cause for that.
Yeah, that is true, and it's just one of those things where, it's pretty rampant on Spreaker, and I said a warning to other hosts: don't get into this garbage, because somebody will do something or attempt to do something, and for people like me who don't know the culture of Spreaker and don't know these people, and there have been people on here who have gotten their information posted up in public hundreds of times, and they just laugh it off because it's happened. But for me, that was alarming, It was very alarming. Yeah. And so
you're talking about doxing right now?
I'm talking about doxing, man. I backed out of it. I said, forget it. I'm done with that, and I'm just going to do my happy little podcast. And the first night that I came back on Thursday, I was debating whether I should do it on Spreaker. My friend David, who runs The Intellectual, said, why do you even mess with Spreaker? It's, he I think he considers it the cesspool of podcasting, but I like the console. I like using the equipment, and I enjoy on here, including yours. So, I mean, it's like one of those things where, I enjoy doing it, and it gives me a freedom that I don't have otherwise. And, for like technical reasons, I enjoy using it. So, I mean, it's one of those things. But he said, why are you messing with that? It's like you're going back into the war. And I'm like, because how am I going to finish what I started? If I leave and I take off, and it's like, oh, well, he's done because we got some of his information. He had to change all of his passwords and his, everything else. Well, on him. It's like I decided to come back with a straight show, and I've been telling everyone I can. I think this is like the fourth phone call I've been on this week with other hosts. I've been telling everybody I can. Stay away from that stuff. It's not healthy for anybody. Just do your own show, do your content. And one thing that David told me, and I'm going to take this to heart, they're your audience. You perform for them. You don't have to be friends with them. You don't have to be buddies. You don't have to give them any information about yourself except what you decide to divulge in that hour to make it entertaining. That's all there is to it. Period.
Right.
So I'm taking that approach, man. Forget it. And I would once again caution you, Kevin. You got Man, you went down and you mixed it up with the peasants, man. Go back to where you belong, man. Go back to the get out of the circus. You don't belong in the circus. You know, you're one of those people who is fortunate enough to pay for the circus. You're not part of the traveling tent, brother.
Yeah.
And I'd say back out now.
There are some shows that you probably would want to stay away from completely.
Which ones, David? Would you tell us?
I'm not going to go that route. But
okay, I mean, I don't blame you. You could become a target. You know,
I'm not afraid of it. You know, I'm just saying there are some shows, and I can't tell you what you personally would feel like you'd want to stay away from, but I think you'll find it out on your own.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Common sense will tell you.
Well, based on what you guys have suggested during this call and my own thoughts, I think I need to officially, publicly, during this show, say I'm out. I'm out of doing the debates. I'm going to come to you guys' chat room and listen and maybe even participate a little. I'm talking about GoofyBone. I'm talking about Debi Daly and everybody. But I'm not built this way. This is not how I can function well. And are you guys hearing interference on the call by any chance, or is that just me? Kind of like a bzz, bzz, bzz.
I hear a little of that.
Like you have a fly caught in your microphone.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's because I've added a couple of people to the call, and they're trying to talk and they can't. And I don't know what's up with that.
Can you guys hear me?
Anyway.
I heard that.
Who is this? Apocalypse?
This is Apocalypse. Hello.
Apocalypse, what up? My favorite Spreaker dude.
Guys. Yes, the king of Spreaker is here. I do have the #1 show on Spreaker, so
all hail.
I think when it comes to drama, non-drama, or music shows, I know everything. So if there's any questions, please, time is money, and so if you have any questions, please address them to me immediately.
Apocalypse, when is your next Mother's Basement? I can't get enough of that show.
Well, due to my laziness, I do it only once a week, every Sunday at 5 p.m. PST.
But you leave us wanting more.
Yes, he does.
I've heard that complaint. I need to do longer shows or more often. But
No, stick to 45 minutes. You leave us wanting more. We'll think
that's what I think, yes. Hello.
Absolutely.
Is PST Pacific Standard Time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But I do live in Arizona, so I have to struggle between Mountain Time, Pacific Standard Time, and Central, so whatever,
What do you think about this whole affair tonight, Apocalypse? I haven't heard your thoughts on it.
He knows more about it than most.
Yeah, I know pretty much everyone in that debate, so that's why. But I did do a show earlier today, about 8 hours ago, called Debi versus Goofy Debate Pre-Game Thoughts. My predictions came true, that something bad was going to happen, and it was just going to be an end. Like, I've heard debates like this before, and they didn't go anywhere. My thoughts are basically that it's just too many egos in one small room, that nothing will go accordingly. So, I don't think it's really fair to point too many fingers at any one side, but I don't think this was doomed to fail from the beginning, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I didn't know it, but I think you're right. Oh, shit. I think I just hung up on everybody. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to use Skype. Fuck. I don't know how to use Skype. Shit. Join me?
Goofy and
okay, I just joined the conversation.
That's what I was saying earlier, man. You never know. She actually sent me a message one time, and I don't know if she was honest or not on it, that said that Goofy talks to her at least twice a week.
Yeah.
And that he says it's all in fun and I love you. And it's like and it makes you wonder, how far down the rabbit hole do you go until you reach Wonderland?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be thinking about that on Spreaker. You should not be thinking about being doxxed. You should not be thinking about who's doing what or who's talking to who behind the scenes. It's too much calculation, too much work, too much bullshit. I have a real life, you know what I mean? And we all have these lives.
I know this much. If you attack someone, they're going to come back at you.
Oh, totally. Even if you don't attack someone like you, Kevin, like you didn't attack anybody.
Right.
And GoofyBone, to use a Spreaker term, chimped out on you and went crazy. And but you know what? That achieved an end as well. I mean, if you really think about it, his jumping out of his skin and having a long-winded tirade achieved. It stoked the fire. It was one of those, those old-time pump furnaces, or those furnaces that you put the air that you use to pump air into a fire, and you get the coals hot, and you get everything flaming. That's pretty much what I believe the aim.
What I don't understand. What I don't understand when Goofy left that call, and like I said, I was listening to his show, afterwards. Is when he left that call, he completely he goes on a tirade on his own show. I mean, he is yelling and screaming. I had to turn the volume way down just to be able to hear it because it was so. Yep. And then after he does that, he just disappears, and you got I think his name is Mezakawa. I'm not sure. Mekazawa. I apologize for the incorrect name. And it sounds like he's apologizing. I don't know what he's apologizing for. I'm not going to speculate. But I thought maybe he was apologizing for Goofy. I could be wrong.
What was he saying? What did you hear?
It was so loud. It was talking about everything. I mean, every little thing you could think of. Oh, no one followed the rules, and Kevin was doing this, and Kevin wouldn't step in. Just nonsense. It was just pure nonsense.
I mean, we were 3 minutes into this thing. We hadn't even established the rules fully yet. And what's up, Bastard FC? He's in the chat room there. Sorry about that. And here I am going, wait a minute. What? I think we've got some rule infractions already if we're agreeing that interruptions aren't allowed. But then I look at the official debate type rules, and it allows for constructive interruption in order to better define what one party is saying, you know. So I couldn't side with Debbie's team or Goofy's team at that point. I was still trying to understand, what are we going to call foul? What are we going to call foul? And Goofy snapped, because I didn't jump on Angry Jew for trying to get him to get Mr. What was the guy that was speaking for Goofy's team?
Mr. Solutions.
Mr. Solutions. He was trying to get. Oh, Jesus Christ! Skype. I don't understand Skype, guys. Dyslex is calling right now, and if I answer, it's going to put everybody else on hold, and it doesn't give me the option to add him to the group conversation. So I'm going to decline it. I'm sorry, Dyslex. I'm sorry. You're at the mercy of my knowledge of Skype, and that knowledge is not adequate.
Hey,
so,
Kevin.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Real quick point, Kevin. Think about this. If you want to know the seriousness of the debate, just think of the names of the participants. GoofyBone, Mekazawa, One Angry Jew, Mr. Midnight Movie. They're not senators. Think about for a second the names. You're taking
histamines for your nasal allergy symptoms, but are not getting the relief you need. Try nasal.
Who's playing a commercial?
Nasacort is working on the first day, then gives you.
Who's that?
Why are we hearing an ad?
With daily use. That's because histamines target only one cause of your nasal allergy symptoms.
What is
Nasacort?
Well, for those of you with nasal allergies,
browsers open.
It just
that's
stopped.
weird. Okay. All right, well, you guys, I'm giving you the microphone for a sec because I got to go take a piss. So it's all you.
All right. Well, I mean, I think I've said my piece on it. Apocalypse, you have anything to add, King of Spreaker, if you're still there?
Well, yes. Although I am the #1 show on Spreaker.
Number one by a large margin, by the way.
Shameless there.
And I think, Spreaker needs to give me money for being on here, because I could easily start my own little pod cart and destroy Adam Carolla, but,
Sponsor Apocalypse.
Yes.
www.apocalypsesponsorship.com.
Absolutely.
Hey, do you have a website or anything, Apocalypse?
Just mostly on Spreaker, to be honest. Yeah, or Facebook or Twitter.
Okay.
His ticket's being written to iHeart, though. I mean, it's in the mail.
What's funny is I applied to them about, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, and they still haven't gotten back to me. So I'm guessing that's a no.
They have a lot of garbage podcasts to go through.
That's true.
And sometimes you have to separate the wheat from the chaff. Excuse me.
I still got a question. I mean, they knew that Kevin is not a professional moderator. I mean, everyone, we know that. Everyone knows that. They knew that. Both sides knew that. But and both sides knew that neither one of them are professional debaters. So they had to have some type of common ground between the two of them, that they're going to go into this with some common sense on, the side's going to say their piece, this side's going to say their piece. You might not agree with either side, or you may agree. I don't know. But, there had to be some type of common ground that they were going to have.
In my humble opinion, it was a dog and pony show, and we all fell for it.
I understand that.
Dog and pony show. I mean, if you're expecting, eloquent thoughts on racial subjects, I don't know if the place you go is Spreaker.com, right, where two hosts who have a significant hatred for each other will face off. I mean, I don't know if that's the place you go for that kind of intellectual content, which leads me to believe it was for show. I mean, maybe they hate each other, but I'm sure there was a moment of hesitation between the both of them. Are we going to debate? Are we actually going to talk about topics?
I mean, like I said, I know they weren't professional debaters and everything, and a professional moderator, but I did expect some type of a debate.
The only debate you're going to get out of those two, I think, is insults and how they can insult each other.
Yeah, basically, this was, as I said in my show previous, it was doomed from the start. This was all, there wasn't going to be a big debate. There's too many egos, and but I did listen to GoofyBone show because I can only listen to one show or the other. I can always download Debi's later, whereas GoofyBone you can't download a show really. So I decided just to listen to GoofyBone show, and I assume no one else did, but everyone listened to Debi's, I take it?
No, I listened to GoofyBone show and kind of hid in the shadows. It was, and I actually called into GoofyBone show. I think you heard that. I offered.
That's right.
I offered my moderating services and was laughed off the show because I couldn't be fair and impartial. So yeah, I just kind of, when I got hung up on, I was just kind of like, okay, well, I gave it a shot because I wanted to see how serious people were about having a debate, and I wasn't going to call into Debi's show, and ruin their celebration. So I decided to call into Goofy show and say, hey, why don't you let me take a crack at it? I'll give her a call, I'll set up, and yeah, he didn't want no part of it. And that was that.
See, I'm still not understanding why they can try to do this on an independent show.
Yeah, you can't. The moderator has to host the show. There's no question about it next time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, as Alan suggested earlier, that the moderator that's going to be successful in this game is not me. It's going to be somebody who can be a total asshole, who has no concern over trying to keep things friendly and just wants to stick to the rules. I can't do it. I'm not the guy I thought I might be. I was proven wrong. So I apologize for whatever mistakes I made as a moderator, but I can guarantee you that I was never partial toward anybody. I was just trying to keep it level. And it just never had a chance for me to prove that, really.
Yeah. I think you did a great job. For what little knowledge you had of what was going on, I think you did a great job.
Well, I'm out of it now, so there's going to be a job for moderator.
You know what? And I've talked myself out of it now. But real quick, Kevin. The thing about it, damn, did I lose my train of thought? Yes, I did.
I do that all the time.
Yeah,
I just press some sound effects when that happens.
Okay, but Kevin, yeah, it's best to stay out of it. I mean, the thing about it is you needed somebody in there like Bill O'Reilly, who would be like, you shut up, and You know, and would it have been successful then? Think about it. You have these two volatile sides. Maybe both of them would turn on the moderator. So really, the moderator position is not an enviable one in this situation, because you have two volatile people. Oh, I did remember what I was going to say. If you ever went into Debi Daly's chat room, and I ran into this, if you ever went into Debi Daly's chat room, this is fun. I went to Debi Daly's chat room and told her she had a good show one day, and I was put on a mock trial on GoofyBone's show next week with my full agreement, enjoying the theater of it all, for being a traitor.
Jesus.
I went into the show and I told her it was a good show because she had a good topic on it. And I went in and I turned and I was a traitor. Now it was with full agreement, and I decided to, because I was reaching a point in school where I had to work a little harder, I decided to take a couple weeks off of the Spreaker platform at that time. So I thought it was perfect timing to just disappear, and so I did. But at the same time, it was one of those things where you think about it and it's like, wow.
This is where Spreaker host mentalities are ridiculous. I mean, you can't listen to who you want. You can't go read what you want. These guys, some of these people talk about Obama, and granted, I don't like Obama. I'm not going to get on that subject. But seriously, if you can't go to a show and listen to what you want, don't talk about someone else saying how bad they are at something.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you pick a side, or if you want to try and be friendly with everybody, okay. I played the drama card a little while and saw how far it got me until it got me into a little trouble. So I decided not to play it anymore, because I realized that these people are different than myself. So I decided.
I know what you mean by different, but you're not saying it.
Different. They're very different. They're very different, and I've listened to both sides of the coin, and it's one of those moments where you think, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. If two sides of something don't make sense, where do you go? You go a third direction that hopefully makes sense. So so I'm out of it. I'm going to use your platform to say I'm out of it. Tonight I kind of stuck my toe in the water, and a piranha kind of sniffed at it, and I took my toe promptly out and went over to Kevin Kierstead's pond. But yeah, I'm completely out of it at this point. I've said that before, but yeah, it's just like one of those things where, those 2 days after I quit, I spent more time with my family. I hung out around the house. I got a gauge of what was going on with my family, and it was two of the best days I've had in a while. And then I realized I was concentrating a little too much on these radio shows and becoming a little bit of a psycho myself. So So yeah, I realized, oh look, there's a family, and my child is growing. So that So bottom line, I'm out of it, and Camp Kierstead, man. Camp Kierstead. Do your own thing, and just do the best at it.
That's the way to go. That's what I'm going to do too.
That's great. Hey, gentlemen, I got to go. My daughter is crying for some reason, so I got to go console her.
Okay.
Well, nice talking with you, Alan.
Okay.
Hey, likewise.
Yeah, thank you for calling in and all your insight.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Anytime. Good night.
All right. Later, Gator. So we are still here with Apocalypse and David, and we're talking about the debate tonight. I came into this show pissed off. I was defensive. I was ready to whack off somebody's head. And now I'm going, no. I see what's going on now. It may not have been planned, but I'm not getting into this drama. I thought maybe through some weird, ethereal belief that I had, that I could make things better for these host-on-host attacks, that I could go in and moderate bringing them together. I was dead wrong. And naive for thinking it. And I had an inkling about this because about 3 weeks ago I said, I've been invited to moderate this thing. I'm going to make enemies that I didn't have before the debate. And I shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake.
Just know this, Kevin. Hosts that do the things that you heard tonight, they want to get you riled up because, well, as you know, for them it helps them. They like it when people get riled up, scream and yell and things, because it helps them.
Yeah.
At least that's what they think. That's what they believe.
Well, I think it probably does help sell shows, but it's not an avenue I can go down. I'm just not in my... See, once you've been through... I'm 42 years old. I had a custody battle for my daughter and lost, and then I took it to the Supreme Court in Vermont, lost again. And once you've been through a family court situation where every bad thing about you has been laid out on the table for everyone to look at, you begin to lose the desire to fight.
Oh, yeah.
You want to stand up for your principles, and I do. But what I did tonight could be seen as someone going out looking for a fight, and it's not what I was doing.
Right.
I was actually going out trying to make peace.
Right.
So, no, you can't. And I think Goofy's going to probably say all kinds of shit about me, and his people are, okay, all right, I'm fine with it. I came into this show pissed off, ready to throw punches. Now, go ahead and beat on me, because the people that listen to my show are not going to be affected by that, because that's not why they listen to my show, because I've won some kind of popularity contest, or because I've won in this mock ongoing debate between Spreaker clans. I'm not trying to play that game. I'm out of it.
I mean, how much bad stuff do people really want to hear anyways? I mean,
that's a good question.
I mean, I pick up a newspaper, and the first thing I read, it's either someone shot, someone raped, or a burglary or something like that, or a war. I turn the TV on. The first 5 channels I go through, the same thing. I turn on the radio, same thing. I mean, how much bad stuff can you hear before you say, I'm sick of that, I'm tired of it, I don't want no more of it?
Yeah, it does sell. I mean, it does sell. That's why they're doing it.
It sells. I'm not arguing with that. I'm definitely not arguing with it. It does sell. But there's just so much that you want to hear of it, though. I mean,
I wish people wanted less.
My wife likes these drama shows, and I hate them. I hate them with a passion. So I start watching comedies because, there's less drama in it and things like that. And I hear enough drama on Spreaker. Why do I want to hear it? Hear it on TV?
Yeah. What about you, Apocalypse? You think you think that who do you think would have been a good debate moderator tonight that might have been able to hold it together?
I think probably Grandpa Al. He's somebody that, he's kind of like me. That can go in any chat room and say hi to everybody, and no one will give him crap. He's a very older guy, and it's really hard to scream at an older guy who's only been nice to everybody.
Especially when he's a Navy SEAL that could kill you.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So, even if you do get someone who's really good, you got to have 2 groups that are willing to listen to him anyways. I mean, you can be great. You can be great at what you do, but if no one's willing to abide by it, it doesn't matter how great you are. I mean, and you just had people involved in that just they just, and I'm not mentioning the names, I'm just saying they just did not want to follow what was going on.
You mean as far as follow the guidelines of a debate?
Well, no one wanted to hear the guidelines.
Right.
You're trying to get them established, trying to get the guidelines, the rules established, and you just got a bunch of chaos. No one wants to hear it, and that makes no sense. I mean, granted.
Well, if people like chaos, my show's not going to be for them, because this is the last show you're going to hear of mine that even touches on the chaos of Spreaker wars. I'll touch on the chaos of news, but I feel nauseous. I feel nauseous after this whole thing. At first, I was fired up. I was like, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to be the moderator. And now I'm going, what did I do that for? And I don't know why I did it. I can't answer that. It was a bad decision.
Well, can I give you just a little piece of advice to think?
Of course.
It may be over on your part tonight because you're done with it. But just remember, just because you're done doesn't mean other people are. So
that's right.
I'm sure you're going to be attacked on different shows and things, and I'm just sure of it because I've seen it so many times. And there's only really one way to deal with it, honestly. You can continue to go on them shows and fight back, or you can just say what the hell you want I'm not listening.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to let it get to me. They can do whatever they have to do. But it's almost like you rise your head up and watch out for the axes because they're coming, you know? So...
See, I like, you know, talk shows that are fairly calm. People have points that they're making. And I'm not even saying people have to be extremely knowledgeable about everything they're saying, but, you know, they have some knowledge, some, you know, even if they're just reading it from something that's written somewhere else. But they're fairly calm about it. There's no drama involved. You know, they're going somewhere with it.
Yeah. Who do you think is the ideal listener for a GoofyBone show? What is that person like?
Chaos. They want to hear. They want to hear the rant, the rave. They want to hear someone exploding. They want to hear someone getting made fun of so bad that they break down and cry on air.
They want to see somebody hurt.
I've seen shows that do that to people. I actually was listening to a show and they did that to someone. And they aired the episode. God, they every podcast they did, they played that clip over and over and over and over. I bet there was 60 episodes that they did after that show that they played that clip in at least 5 different times in those shows, those podcasts.
Jesus.
Because they enjoyed.
So it wasn't just the victory, it was the torture that they wanted.
Yeah. The mentality of some people is ridiculous on what they're seeking and what they're trying to do to other people.
Yeah. I don't know where to go next with this show, you know.
Well, okay. Before you got involved in all this, you had a I'm assuming a pretty good show, because I'm not going to lie and say I heard you before, because I haven't. But I'm assuming
most people haven't. Don't worry.
I'm assuming it was a pretty good show because you've been doing it for at least a year. I'm assuming, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
So you go right back into as though you never did this. You're right back into your show the way it was.
That's the way to do it. That's what I'm going to do. I didn't enjoy it. I'll tell you guys this. If you think that I got some kind of rise out of it, I mean, I've got a bunch of new listens and some new followers just from this whole debate thing. I don't, you know, I got all kinds of people following me on Twitter all of a sudden that weren't following me before tonight. This is not what I need, man. It's never been something I've been after doing a radio show. I mean, I've been infatuated with a radio forever. I used to call in high school and imitate voices and just loved it, you know, and this is never what I saw as something good. I didn't even think this kind of host-on-host warfare existed until I started learning, just through reading people's posts and listening to a show here or there. I mean, they hate each other. And if it's an act, well, they're doing a fucking fantastic job of acting.
Well,
because it sounds like they hate each other.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like if you put them in a real room together, they'd kill each other.
Well, I'll tell you what. I had a deal with a guy quite a while back. It was probably about a year ago. We agreed to bash each other on our shows. We'd call each other shows up, bash each other really bad. I mean, really, really bad. But we agreed beforehand to do it. And at first it was okay. Right. Now, I didn't get my feelings hurt. He didn't get his feelings hurt. But I got tired of doing it because it wasn't what I wanted.
Right.
I did it because he called me originally and asked if I'd do it. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, I got listeners out of it. And I got a lot of them, quite a bit. And then after I quit doing it, my listeners dropped. But that was the thing. I got sick of it because it's not really what I set out to do on Spreaker. So I said, if I lose the listeners, that's fine. I don't care. That's not who I am. It's not what I want to do.
Right. You know, you're signing a contract once you decide to get into the drama. Just because you're picking up listeners, you know, what you're agreeing to is, if I want to keep these listeners, I have to continue the drama.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody listening to my show right now, if you thought I was going to get involved and become a big player in this war, neutral or not, you're mistaken, because I'm not. And I tried. I've done some shows. You can look at my show history on cut the host-on-host attacks, shit not to do on the radio, that type of stuff. And it's only from somebody who's listened to a lot of shows. I'm not an expert on this. I didn't go to school for broadcasting. It's just what I've learned listening over 20, 30 years.
Right.
And it's not my style. Just like you said, it's not my style to get into the attack stuff.
Right.
You know, there's one person I go after constantly, and it's Alex Jones. And it's not even because of who he is. It's because he's misleading a lot of people, and he needs more data in support of his claims. That's all I ask of him.
Right.
I'd say go for it. I'd listen to his show if he would just get the data right and not mislead people, because he realized fear sells. And when you realize that, you can put anything in the fear hole.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's too bad, you know. I think it's sad. But that's the only guy I go after. I don't have animosity toward anybody else.
Right. I think, you know, when you get into this media here, you know, doing these podcasts, these shows, you might be wanting to inform people, you might want to educate them, you might want to help them, but deep down inside, there's one person that you're doing this for to begin with, to start with, and that's yourself.
Yeah.
And if that's not,
that's right.
If that's the person you're not pleasing first, nothing else is going to matter.
That's right. What's gay, Barco? Tell us what's gay. Are you going to ask us how much we bench press tonight? I'm curious. You know, I think if I could sell an idea on this show regarding that whole debate, it's that if you're going to debate somebody, maybe it shouldn't be somebody you hate. That'd be a good start.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that's not going to go well.
I mean, I've been on Debi's show quite a few times, and I've had disagreements. Well, the very first time I was on there, I had a disagreement with, I believe it was the Jewish producer and the one angry Jew, but we kept it calm. I mean, we could have yelled at each other, but I don't think we'd have accomplished anything if we did.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. Tonight, one angry Jew, I believe that was the guy that was doing most of the talking. Hey, Debi Daly, welcome to the chat room. I didn't think you were still up. I liked that guy. You know who he reminded me of? He reminded me of Robert Downey Jr.'s character in, what was that cartoon movie? Scanner Darkly.
Oh, okay.
Just, you know how he always kept that monotone, low-key voice, but was also really intelligent?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they're claiming I was unfair, Debi. I'm making my stake tonight that I can't do this anymore. This isn't in my blood. Because I could do it between two neutral parties. I could do a debate moderation between two neutral parties that didn't really have bad blood between them. But this is going to be a powder keg anytime you guys come up to the debate table. And I understand why. You know, there's bad blood there. There's been nasty stuff said about each other. And I will say this, Debi Daly's team treated me with respect. They acted professionally. And just because they made a couple of mistakes early on with the, you know, who gets to interrupt who, that doesn't mean a debate should suddenly end with somebody exploding. So,
you know, this is my opinion of the one angry Jew, or Uncle Morty. I think that's what they call him sometimes. I don't think he's a bad guy, like they've tried, like GoofyBone's tried to make him out to be. I really don't. I think this is a guy that when you ask him a question, if he doesn't understand the question, he asks you to clarify it. And I think certain people take very offense to that. They automatically assume that he knows exactly what you're saying. Well, maybe he knows what you're saying, but maybe he wants to know that you know what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
I can't really speak for him and say that's what he's thinking. But, you know, I just think he needs clarification on things when people say things to him. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Yeah, I didn't know he was that way, or I would have, you know, had an allowance for that. He was asking, and as I said in those parliamentary rules, the things that I had up from the Debate Society, that's allowed if you're adding something to the debate. And what he was doing was saying, look, now I don't know if he was thinking this, but what he could have been thinking was, the audience may not understand what you're doing. You're laying out a definition before you lay out the title of the definition. We'd like to hear the title first and then the definition. And that's what he wanted. Now, for all I know, Angry Jew would have been interrupting the rest of the show and we would have had a problem. I don't know. That's all conjecture.
Right.
But for that one moment, why couldn't we just resolve that and keep going with the debate?
Exactly.
You know? And I don't know. I feel sad that debate did. I really wanted this debate to happen. I wanted to sit back, mute my fucking mic, and listen to the issues.
Right.
But it didn't work out that way.
No.
Yeah, Debbie, I'm sorry, man. I wish I could have done better.
You live and you learn.
Mm-hmm. I'm not cut out for this, Debbie. I'm the most fair person in the world, and that's exactly why I can't do this. I can't. I knew 3 weeks ago when you came up with this, or 2 weeks ago when you asked me to be one of the moderators, that I was going to make enemies by doing this. But I thought it's worth breaking a few eggs to make an omelet. I'm going to bring peace to these two groups. How naive was that? Fucking ridiculous naivety. I am going... Naivete, it's actually the correct word, because I know GoofyBone's going to get mad because he tried to say a word that didn't exist, and we jumped on that. And I don't know. So, yeah, naivete is the word. Maybe GoofyBone's show appeals to the same types of people that any show where someone screams and rants and raves appeals to. And that is somebody who likes to believe there's an enemy. Many people operate with a better compass when they believe there's an enemy to aim at all times. Have you ever noticed how well Americans get along when we've got a common enemy?
Oh, yeah.
When World War II broke out, everybody loved everybody. After 9/11, we were united in brotherhood.
Yep.
So maybe that's it. Well, I don't want to be involved in a situation where there's got to be an enemy.
Well,
see, I think the enemy is lack of knowledge, and I'll seek to strike that enemy down, but that's the only one.
Well, if I remember right, I remember seeing on the news all the time all the protests that happened in Washington, D.C. And then right after they announced that bin Laden was killed, it was like, okay, everybody's outside Washington, and they're united in support of, hey, we finally got this guy.
Yes.
There was an enemy, like you said, and we finally got him. So there was a united, there was a unification with people right there.
Yep. But have you noticed, as soon as we don't have an enemy anymore, the infighting starts?
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Goofy thought, Debbie says, that Mr. Solution would carry the debate on their side. I think he did think that, and I'm not sure Mr. Solution wouldn't have. I think he was on his way to, but they snapped early. So we didn't get a chance to lay it out. I mean, why wouldn't you come into a debate going, look, this is the first time we've done this. Kevin is not an expert debate moderator. Let's go ahead and feel out the rules first. Let's give this time to set up before we start blaming the other side or the moderator for fucking everything up. We hadn't even established the rules, and you're trying to put somebody in jail for breaking a rule.
See, Kevin,
and that's just weird, man.
Take that on yourself, though. I mean, Mezakawa was sitting there saying before that show even started, they were sitting there talking about how they knew that you didn't know the rules. They were sitting there admitting that on their own show, that they knew that you didn't know the rules, that you didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And it sounded like they were all fine with that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about that. I mean,
a clusterfuck before it even started, because, and that's what it was. That's what people were complaining about. Yeah. It's going to be a big mess, and it was just like most people predicted. So.
Well, I said to Debbie, and she agreed. I said, "You realize this may descend into chaos quickly," and she said, "Yes, it might." And I was really hoping that wouldn't happen,
But you see,
I was going to give a yellow card.
I would say honestly, though, that one Angry Jew guy. I mean, he's really smart. Don't get me wrong, but he's probably the biggest mental predator I've ever seen on here. Just because he knows that just asking prolonged question after question, and that'll drive you insane. I mean, I actually like the guy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know, to debate someone like that. I don't know. That'd drive me nuts.
I find him quite challenging.
Absolutely.
I love talking to him. I really do. I find him quite challenging.
I could tell he was super smart, man. You can pick up on those things quickly when you're talking to somebody.
I think he'll keep you on your toes.
Yes, he will.
I don't think you can go into a conversation with one Angry Jew and start telling him things without knowing what you're talking about.
Yes, you have to understand them before you face them. I mean, that's why I think he picks on a lot of these different BTR shows, because a lot of them are pretty dumb over there, and they just buckle because he asks some tough questions. They get very emotional. They hang up on him, and all that. So you just kind of got to get a little bit of a bio before you go up against One Angry Jew. Once you hear him a few times, you'll understand him, and just don't be too emotional about him. Just kind of, if anything, just kind of ignore the guy, I would say, and you should be fine.
Well, Debbie's saying right now that when she picked him on the team, she knew he was going to be an agitator.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I wish I had known, so I could know, if we're going to have an agitator who is going to interrupt or otherwise demean or belittle someone else, I need to be prepared for that and know where that fits within the rules, because you can't let one side do it and then not the other. But like I said, we haven't even added anything established yet. I mean, we'd heard basically the opening volley from GoofyBone's team when the whole thing imploded.
Right.
Nah, yeah.
That's too bad. What would you guys like to have seen happen? Or do you think it turned out great for entertainment?
Entertainment-wise, if you like that kind of stuff, it was a huge success for hearing someone blow up. But if you wanted any type of a debate at all, then it was a huge failure.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to hear a big debate.
That's what I wanted, was a debate.
But I knew it wasn't going to happen. This was about winning by any means possible, I think. So, this could have went either side, to be honest. But
how do you win if you don't participate?
That's a good question.
Hey, if there's a lot of rules and you break enough of them, then you can win by default.
No, that's not what I mean.
Okay.
I'm just saying, how do you consider yourself the winner if you walk out of what you're considering, yourself having the success in? And
you're talking about Goofy walking out of the debate.
I mean, they consider this thing a huge success for them. They won it and all this stuff. But how do you consider yourself winning that if you don't participate in it? It'd be like saying, I'm the world, series champion. Well, if I never even played in the games, how can I be the champion?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There was no real conversationalist winner. There was basically a technical win. And so
it was.
That's really unfortunate, because this would have been fun, because both sides kind of have different players with different thoughts, and I think it would have been really fun to actually listen to. But obviously that wasn't destined to happen.
Well, Debbie, I think you guys still have a huge showing, probably more than you had tonight if you do another debate, but it would have to be on a neutral network. And since I'm no longer in the running for moderator, at least let me vet your moderator and make sure that it's a fair and impartial person. And you can still make this a huge thing if people can keep their brains intact and not let their emotions take over.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, may I suggest him?
You know what? I'd actually nominate Stabby, because Stabby equally hates Debbie and Goofy. So, there is no... he doesn't like either of them. So, and he's sort of new to the network. He has his own sort of channel now. He shares with other people, with Barco and all them. So I think he would have been the next best choice, if not Grandpa Al.
Yeah, Grandpa Al, I don't know much about him, but I had him on the show, and he seemed very calm and collected. Well, I can't do the moderating anymore, Debbie, because my spirit is not set up for this kind of chaos between two people or two groups. I'm more of a unifier by nature, although I'm when people, I'm not an alpha male, never have been, but I get alpha male when another alpha male shows up. So as soon as I felt this yelling thing coming in from Goofy, I felt like I had to stand my ground and say, no, there's not going to be any of that. I mean, when an alpha male comes up into my face, I'm fucking alfalfa male. The cowlick pops up on the back of the head. The pants become high waters. I got my dukes up. I'm ready to rock and roll. But I didn't want to be that guy tonight. I wanted to be the guy tonight that said, see, you two can get along. Fucking idiot I was. I was an idiot. But I did not make moderation mistakes. Not any more than you would expect from somebody who hasn't done it before and who was coming in with both feet firmly planted on the ground of reality and not leaning toward one side or the other.
Well, Kevin, I said it earlier. For what information you had, you did a great job.
Thank you. I tried, man. I tried, but I think you guys are right when you say this debate didn't have a chance because the animosity level was so high between the two groups. Now, Debi's team was prepared to do the debate. They were prepared. However, there's going to always be this question mark now because it was a technical, forfeiture. There's always going to be a question mark as to how the debate would have gone. And I said on the show, I think that it seemed to me that Debi's team was prepared and ready to go, and that Goofy's was not. They can't just rely on one guy to carry the debate. So that's my opinion of it. I think it would have gone toward Debi's team, but that was up for the audience to decide, not me.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Hey, maybe both sides can get on some forum somewhere and just post their answers to questions. And let it.
Yeah. Do it in a like a text chat.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stupid idea.
Yeah, right. It would have to be a public spectacle before any of these people really all got together again like that.
Well, I like everybody who's not an extreme racist or sexist, and I made a mistake tonight by making new enemies.
You said you don't like racists and sexists, so does that mean I have to get off the call?
No, you don't.
Okay, just making sure.
You're not a racist, are you? You're not a racist or a sexist.
Just slightly. I have some tendencies to say some politically incorrect things. I have a tendency of slapping waitresses in the ass, but I slap them with the ass with the intention of giving them a $20 bill. So I'm not all that bad.
See, this is Apocalypse.
But
this is Apocalypse. This is why I love the guy.
Is the slap on purpose, or is it just a nervous twitch?
I'll just go with nervous twitch, but I still I include the $20 just for like reparations. Like, hey, don't get mad at me. There's something in it for you too.
Yeah. See, it's not your fault. It's just a nervous twitch.
Yeah. See.
Mine is starting to shrink tonight. I'm talking about my show, by the way.
No, Kevin, yours is fine. I think you just, I think I was one of the first people, in this group that really found you because you were always on at the crack of hours. I think I found you, a year ago? And,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, so.
I'm definitely going to start listening to
Kevin. I think it was November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd only been doing the show a couple months by then, and you were the one person who would faithfully show up in my chat room. I was always so grateful because I figured I might have 3 or 4 listeners here or there, half of them just looking to keep tabs on me. But Apocalypse was in there, and even if I said shit he didn't agree with, he would say what he had to say, and he would put his supporting evidence with it, and I always respected him for that,
Yeah.
Plus, everybody loves you, Apocalypse. Who doesn't like you on Spreaker? Name one person.
No, but everyone has respect, and everyone does like me. If they didn't like me, I would slash their tires and just scream at them. So, yeah, it's a fear sort of thing, They fear love me.
Oh.
Well, David, since you've bothered to come on the show and give a lot of your commentary, why don't we talk a little bit about what you do in your network?
My show is basically just like a new. I just talk about news, sports, politics, religion, whatever. I really don't talk about Spreaker hosts or Spreaker shows. I think I've done one show about Spreaker trolls. I didn't mention any names of anybody or anything like that. Didn't feel like it was appropriate. But basically, that's what my show is. It's a one-man show. It's 30 minutes long. I do it Mondays and Fridays from 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 3:30. It's just basically a talk show. It's my views on, like I said, news, sports, politics, religion, whatever I feel like talking about.
And how do people find you? What do they search for?
The Big DC Network or the Big DC Show on Spreaker.
All right. I'll put a link to your show on on my Facebook announcement for this show. That might get you a little bit of exposure, but I only have like 300 or 400 people that like the page, so I deal in small numbers here.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, guys, I think what I'm going to do here is play a couple of songs and take a break, and then if you guys want to come back and do some freestyle stuff in the second half, we can do that.
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay, does that sound good to you too, Apocalypse?
Absolutely, I'm game, man. It's Saturday night. Well, I guess it's Sunday morning, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I'm hanging up on everybody. Make sure to come back in about 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay,
perfect.
And we'll do it again.
All righty.
All right, peace. All right, you guys. Now, I don't know what good music choices would be for tonight's... What a weird thing we're in right now. I came into this show wanting to beat some ass because I had my integrity challenged. And then I realized this isn't a fight. People are going to attack me because they think I didn't moderate fairly. And I can't beat that. I can't just sit here and reason my way out of it. If I did a bad job, I did a bad job. I'm going to just go ahead and concede defeat. If that's what the accusation is, that I was a bad moderator, I'm going to agree. I was a terrible moderator. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I was fair when I went in, and I was fair when I came out, and I was fair during. And I don't know what else you can ask from a moderator. So that's what I'm going to go with. And if it didn't work out for one team or the other, I don't see that as my fault. That's the way I'm looking at it. Soda 18 pieces sounds like something that would be good to play because that's what that debate has broken up into. Then after that, we'll feature Ghost K Stop, also applicable to tonight's debate because it did stop. And this is a couple of like Irish dudes singing. I just love their accent. But then we'll get into the hate music. Eno's Copenhagen NV sounds a lot like the Fight Club theme song. And I like it for that reason, if no other. For those of you that may be a little bit new to the show, just following for your first time tonight, maybe you just want to dox me. Okay. I'll tell you how to find me. And then we'll get into a couple of songs, give you a break, and we'll come back and go freestyle for the second half, just fucking around, which is what I usually do with my shows, is just second half. I don't have any plan at all. Just open it up. So that is that, and here goes.
To Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Express the same things but with different words. We acknowledge the same curve and those mighty hurts. It's like the last line you draw to remind a past time. A fast-minded feeling of freedom please to be recognized. And I can hear your doctors calling from here to say kill bias, independency, and I'll kill the seal. Cause the young himself is stealthy mass appeal. Where's my muse? Where's my muse? It feels like every word slipping through my mouth has been used. Staggering like the old man feeding a third. With my glass I reflecting half the things that I've learned. A windowless frame in a transparent room, filling up cracks with plastic assumes. Shape shift, nuance, venue. Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over. Wreck up your life until you get sober. Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over, my friend. Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over. Break up your life until you get sober. Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over, my friend. I risen myself as I walk along the weary, moldy watching. I found myself staring, building up an empire of my great desire. Well, the fumes from my thought process takes me higher, higher and higher. Ain't stopping there. My avalanche of color starts over there, and I've got the solitary key to go through. Ray and delicious, but traps can be so vicious. Prepare for the ultimate takedown. Part-time experience might save you from deliverance, but will it serve the greater cause?
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Yeah, he's butting in. Truth on Tap's the show. Kevin Kierstead's the host. Eno, Copenhagen NV, is what you're listening to right now. And we're in the second half of the show. I don't know how much longer it's going to go, but there were some things I wanted to say. First of all, I think that what you may have expected, for those that know me and know that I have 80-pound balls, is that I would go ahead and get into a war with anybody who called me a name. And you may have been mistaken about that, because I reserve my best fighting for worthy opponents. So it would have to be somebody who really captured some weakness in me and exposed it very well. That would incite in me the warrior instinct. What I see right now is what happened was GoofyBone's team imploded. They have a chance to reconcile. They have a chance to go ahead and have a full, real debate and possibly do well. We won't know until it happens. Debi Daly has a show. She has a huge following. She provides entertainment. She's intelligent. She's got the radio voice. Most of you hosts out there have the radio voice. I don't have that. So I have to make up for it. I have to make up for it in content and in creativity. And creativity is, to me, the most important element of the human psyche that there is, because you almost can't do anything without creativity. It's the ability to take in information and then try to fill gaps that the information may not logically expose, and you've got to expose it yourself. And that takes some creativity. It takes some probing. You know, it's part of why I like doing paranormal research, is the probing element of it. Yeah, so that was it. Copenhagen NV. And we're talking a little bit more about this debate. I don't want to spend much time on this anymore, but I'm going to just... here's the thing I wanted to do with this show. With this show, I wanted to share my position on the debate and make sure that I had my own defense in place, because I felt like I needed one. And now I'm going, I don't care. I don't care. I was fair. I know I was fair. I'm not going to mount a huge counterattack against the attacks against me. Go ahead. Let me be your piñata. If you need that, GoofyBone, and if that feels good to you, go ahead, beat the candy out of me. Because I've got other things I'm focused on, and that is to try to help people continue to expand their knowledge. My huge focus on my show has been critical thinking, learning to think, not what to think. And that includes logic, reasoning, those skills that you need to look at the information the world's throwing at you and be able to push away the bullshit, bring in the good stuff, and understand why you're pushing away the bullshit, and understand why you need to bring in the good stuff. And to be able, in my opinion, intelligence is really the ability to connect complex sets of ideas to come up with new answers or new solutions. And people that can do that are people that I admire. And as most of you guys know, my biggest hero of all time is William Wallace. The movie didn't get it exactly right, but it was close. It captured his spirit. But after that is Socrates. I mean, if it was that William Wallace is my hero because he wouldn't put up with unfairness, that's really what it came down to. He wanted fair, and he fought for it. Then Socrates was the king of the intellect, and where his master classes came in, and they were classes, were in getting his students to, they could say what they wanted. He didn't mind that. But then he would ask them questions about what they just said. And what he was doing was showing them that if they pick apart their own beliefs, they might find some holes in there. They might find some inconsistencies. And he wanted them to reconstruct their beliefs with support, so that if they had support, their beliefs must be pretty good, must be pretty solid, must be correct if they had support. And he did that. And one of his students, he said, what is love? And the student tried to explain what love was to him. And he said, well, you just said A and B, and then you said B and C. But in no way at any point did A equal to C. And you're saying A equals C. How'd you get there? And the student got confused and couldn't explain it. So he asked again, what is love? And what he was doing is just trying to get clarification. Because do you know how much bullshit we can weed out of the information coming at you from every angle by asking questions, simple questions? And what it usually comes down to is jumping to conclusions. This is one of the worst weaknesses we have as humans, jumping to conclusions. What I'm saying is back up a second and just look at the support you have for it. And when it comes to things like racism, which we would have discussed tonight, are you racist? What is racist? Can there be racist from every race? My thoughts are yes, there can. If you believe that your race is superior to any other for any reason that isn't proven in a very empirical method, then you're probably at least some level of racist. I don't like people that are being racist. I've never liked them. I grew up with 4 sisters. I never had a chance to become sexist. I had it beaten out of me early. To me, if you don't get to pick what color you're born, then you ought not have to pay a price for it. And that's the way I've always been. And if you want to know if you have a little bit of racism in your blood, ask yourself this. You're walking down a street, you got a house on both sides of you, equal distance from the road, say 25 yards. You see that both of them are on fire. They're half engulfed. They're going to go. You find out from a lady outside who is screaming that there's a black baby in one of the houses and there's a white baby in another. You know from your experience that this house isn't going to last another 45 seconds or a minute, but you got a chance to save one. Now, don't start picking apart the holes in the situation, because the idea is, who do you save and why? Who do you save? Do you flip a coin? The fair person in his mind would flip a coin. Or are you going to go save the black baby if you're white, just to prove you're not racist? Are you going to go save the white baby because you can relate more closely with a white baby, and maybe you'll know that person who has the white baby because you have all white friends because you're white? I mean, what are the reasons? That's the examined mind. And you may have heard the famous quote, "A life not examined is not a life worth living." And I can't even remember off the top of my head who said that, but I believe it. You have to examine why you believe what you believe. And then if you do find some racist things in there or some sexist things, ask yourself, is it justified? You know, do you think all black people walk around with their pants around their ankles, listening to terrible music and sucking money off of the government? Do you really believe that's true? Have you ever looked at the percentages of blacks in America that get welfare versus whites in America? And before you do any of that, have you ever considered that in an America where 70 or 80% of the businesses are white owned and operated, are we going to get a fair shot if we're black to get into a position there? Why? Because the natural tendencies of racism are going to rise up. If you ever want to know how a society's doing, there's only one thing you need to do. That is, look at the behavior of their prison populations. Because when someone goes into prison, the civilized man mask is removed, and they are forced to become an animal. After all, they are being put into a cage. Go and look at them, and you'll have your key to what's going on in that society, in that country. And in our country, when people go to prison, the whites hang with the whites, the blacks hang with the blacks, the Latinos hang with the Latinos, the Asians with the Asians. And in an ideal America, in my ideal America, the groups in prison may be groups. They can't all be unified. But they start mixing between the races. They don't find value in color alone, because that's a very shallow view. We've got to get way beyond that. And you realize from a strictly biological standpoint that if things continue the way they are in this world, there will be no white left. We're all going to be some shade of brown. That's just a mathematical certainty with the way it's going. And maybe seeing it from that perspective, you can say, okay, maybe I ought to start getting used to getting along with people regardless of their race. I think where a huge part of the problem comes in is ideology. You know, if you grew up in a household where the mom and the dad was always saying, dropping the N-bomb, or the honky bomb, or the spick bomb, then you begin to become influenced by that right away at a very impressionable age. How are you going to outgrow that? How are you going to get away from that once you leave that environment? Are you going to? What's fair? Does fair matter? I may be one of the 5 people on earth that think fair matters, you know, and it's a futile battle. I know that, but I'm not going to stop fighting for it. It's part of what defines me. I mean, my closest friends recognize probably the biggest thing about me is my appetite to see fairness, to see just rewards and just punishments between peoples. And it does look like an exercise in futility at this point, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop the fight. Well, that's enough about that. We're getting a little deeper than I wanted to. So let's get back to the chat and see what you guys are talking about in the chat room. Debbie's in there, Barco's in there, Stabby McHugs, Andrew, Big DC Network. You guys know that I'm going to post a link to his show as well on the Facebook announcement for this show, which is usually what I do with anybody that bothers to visit my little chat. You know, Debbie, I got to get out of this thing. I didn't think I would have to. I thought it would be great. I thought it would be an opportunity to possibly unify Spreaker hosts. I don't know why I thought that might work. But even if you were perfectly fair-minded and willing to overlook past disagreements with another clan, if you will, they were not. So whether you were or not, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see you get pissed off by something, you know what I mean? So I didn't get to see your behavior. But you know how you would have behaved. You didn't get a chance, though, because they snapped. And I made the mistake of thinking that I could somehow come in and try to tie things together. And I think, as some people alluded to earlier, there would have been a better choice for this. And maybe the next time you have a debate, I would probably agree. I don't know a lot about Grandpa Al, but I've had him on my show, and his calmness and maturity is overwhelming when you talk to him. It just pours through. And he's one of those guys that I think you probably couldn't piss off. And maybe I'm wrong about that. But, you know, because of the fact that I came in like the law tonight, and I do have 80-pound balls, and I don't like people poking their finger in my chest, and I don't like people thinking they can win an argument by screaming, I may have come off a little bit immature, a little bit too I don't know what the right word is, because I don't want to use the wrong one. A little bit too subject to provocation might be the right way to put it. I don't know. Yeah, debate moderation is not something I ever did, and yet there isn't a more ideal person for it. If you're looking for fairness, if you're looking for somebody who can't be bought off or tipped in one direction or the other, we all have our natural human characteristics of favoring one side or the other in any given argument. But I allow for that up front and say, that's not important. What I need to look at is the rules here. That's the way I've always looked at any debate. Whether or not I was moderating it, I've never done anything like that, but presenting two sides of an argument is a fundamental need of education. You should be able to argue both sides of an issue. Not believe in them, I didn't say that. I said be able to argue them. Ask any attorney, you know, and it's a way to understand both sides. This is going to be news for a while, but it's not going to be something I can allow to affect me, because it's just not part of what I do. So, you know what's going to happen, Debbie? I think I got a lot of listeners and stuff from this, but I'm going to lose them because I'm opting back out of any drama, and that's an unfortunate thing. But that's okay. That's okay. I didn't. This was it was a kind of a gift you gave to me that I just thought I could turn into something more than it was. I was wrong. I'm not built for it. A fair person that would be built for it would have to be a person who was basically somebody who could completely put their ego aside completely and think like a machine. That's the person who's going to successfully moderate a debate between two groups that hate each other. Well, I know Debbie says she doesn't hate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I just think that there's a history there, you know, and that's all we have is the history to go by. And I'm still a little bothered that the debate didn't get to happen. It's almost the same feeling you would have if you were going to a concert and the band was sick and they just couldn't come out. So they had a quick headliner that you'd never heard of before, and even they left early. And you're going, wait. You know, and I'm afraid that a lot of the audience might feel that way. So, but I'm letting it go. You know, and nobody's given Debbie any credit for taking the whole fucking show on. Technically, she ran everything. She set everything up. That's not even coming into, you know, if you're going to criticize people or praise people, how about giving credit where credit is due? You know, if you want your argument to hold water, you have to be willing to give credit where credit is due before you start throwing the knives. What a shame. I don't know. I should just stop caring about this, but I just saw such potential there. I'm wrong. Believe me, people. If you're listening to me going, Kevin, tell me, is there potential? No, not. They're not going to make up. The ideologies of each of these two groups is too separated in order for them to say, we can bridge these gaps. I was wrong about that. And that's because I'm kind of a Spreaker noob. You know, I've been around for a year. I started on Blog Talk Radio like everybody else. Got to Spreaker, got the iHeart show and all that. And I just kind of been doing my own thing, very isolated in my views, you know, interacting basically just through chat and not getting into the Spreaker community, if you will. It was an intimidating force to me out there, and I thought, well, I'll just do my little corner over here. Well, I stepped out into the big pool, and there are some sharks out there. And as you guys know, I'm not afraid of anything. I mean, if anybody from GoofyBone's team thought I was scared, I think their issues are that question has been answered. And if they still have questions, you know, I'm the kind of guy that'll give you my address and say, come on over if you want to talk about it. Fear's not in my dictionary, but the willingness to fight for me has to be over a good cause, because I pour a lot of energy into my fights. So that's not a good cause to just defend my performance as a moderator. Not going to be. Nope, not going to defend it. I was fair then, I'm fair now. I was fair during. And looking at the formal debate guidelines from these professional moderators, I was pretty fucking close to the core of what they say you have to follow as a moderator. So I don't care. Tear me apart, GoofyBone. Tear me apart for my moderation performance. But understand this: you had a chance to have a debate on some major issues tonight, and you blew it. That was your choice. Whether or not that matters to you, whether or not this was a publicity stunt for you, as Alan suggested it may have been, I don't know, and it's not my job to guess. But there was potential there for a very interesting debate that you threw away before it even got started, because things weren't going exactly as you wanted them to go. And we were all in a learning process of understanding and establishing the format for the debate. We were all in the beginning of making sure we understood the rules so that there would be order during the debate. And as soon as one potential rule was broken in your view, you fled. And that's not going to get it done. So I hope you get another chance, GoofyBone and your team. I hope you get another chance to have a good debate, to have a real debate, a full debate, and that you can contain your emotions enough to contribute to the debate instead of just assailing those that are not on your team, including the moderator. Because that's ultimately what happened here, and anybody with any insight is going to see that. Debbie says her Skype was blown up tonight. Oh, Dyslex. Yeah, Dyslex tried to call me a while ago, and I couldn't add him to the to the chat. I don't know if he's a... I don't know who's a troll and who's not. I try to listen to everybody. You know, it's just... Trolls, that's something that baffles me. I don't understand why people do that. Why would you do that? You know, did anybody see when Tom Cruise was talking into the microphone and the guy pressed a button and it squirted water on him? Angela Truth is still around. I've seen her, Stabby. And Tom Cruise grabbed this guy's hands and said, "No, you stay here. Don't run off. Why'd you do that?" And he sat there for like a minute or two talking to this guy. "Why'd you do that? Did you think that was funny? You know, you just spray water on me. I'm giving you an interview. You know, giving you a chance to make a name for yourself. You spray water in my face? Why'd you do that?" And as much as I might disagree with a lot of Tom Cruise's antics, I think that argument was a good one. What'd you do that for? Did you know you're being a jerk? And what'd you do that for? And I think it probably just comes down to maturity. You can't sell maturity. You can't gain it quickly. It takes time. And maturity showed tonight. We saw maturity on display tonight. I think everybody could agree with that. Some people displayed high levels of it. Some people not so much. And that's just the way it is, you know. Well, you guys, I've done about all the talking I can do, but this chat room is bumping right now, so I'm going to play some music so that the chat can continue on for a while. But I'm going to kind of bow out, and I've used too much energy tonight, and I'm like a deflated hot air balloon, and maybe it was hot air, just laying in a field, no more heat going up into it, just blah, blah. But maybe before I go to just music, maybe we need to call somebody. Maybe, just maybe, who should we call? I think we should all consider learning a little Japanese when we make a call. So let's do that one.
Thank you for calling Learn Japanese in 20 seconds a day. Are you ready? Let's begin.
Kujo ga arimasu. Watakushi wa ayatsuri ninyo ga kirai desu. Doki ga shimasu.
To sign up for tomorrow's lesson, please leave your name and number after the beep. Sayonara.
Oh, hello there, children.
Hey, Chef. Chef, you know where shit comes from?
From your ass, children.
Yeah, well, there's that. So we got silly for 30 seconds, goddamn it. Sometimes you gotta do that, people. And if you call Cheech and Chong, this is what they're saying.
Hello. The number I have just smoked is no longer in service. So please, bring me another number over immediately at the tone. Just tell me when you can be here with my new number.
And maybe Dr. Spock to finish off.
Greetings. This is Science Officer Spock, and currently there are no life forms available to take your call. But at the prearranged audio signal, please feel free to leave any verbal communication you feel is necessary. Live long and prosper.
That'll do, because that is that. Then here goes this.
Changes come, changes go. There's always change. Seasons change, the time change, people change.
In all directions at once. in the back. The facts. I love my family. I love my enemies. I love the chaos that's burning deep inside of me.
Changes come, and changes go. There's always change. Seasons change, the time change, people change. In your pocket there is change, and nothing stays the same. Time changes everything, and nothing stays the same per se, but here I am breathing, living my life the way I want to, and I have no one else to blame. Time changes. We change. Change to channel. Change the news. Change something. Or better yet, get the blues.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
And many more for your spirit to grow. See what you're hearing as our lyrics to go. For sure, award towards when you hear it, you know the truth don't never fear it, just grow. Yo, it's flavor like adobo. It's major when I quote flows. Call me the po-po. Just a go. I gave you the whole show, so don't slow the vocal to add them the vocals for later. Beta tested the best is the fertile quest and the freshness. Learn your lesson, the rest is the perfect weapon. Keep stepping in the direction of home base. We're blessed with our own case, a message, so we stuck with our own pace. Take a minute, look around, you see the world that you're missing. In opposition, inspirations, never impossible. Let it repeat and then rock with the beat and then repeat it again. Are y'all ready to breathe again? Slow down, little youngin' with your grind on. Get your timing right, the limelight's no place to get your shine on. Don't drown the signs, throwing you in the deep end. Breathe it in and it really begins. We got records that actually spin. No iPhone composes with a pad and a pen. On my phone, I'll be yapping with family and friends. In my zone, this is where your reality ends, and we're at it again. There's no tricks up the sleeve. Just have faith and believe in yourself for gold wealth, for good health and sunshine. Look to the sky, get your supplies for the front line. Look at my eyes, I'm thinking lies, it's crunch time. So one time, 1, 2 times 2, 2. Even you and the crew can do what we do. Never impossible. Let it repeat and then rock with the beat and then repeat it again. Are y'all ready to breathe again?
to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead. Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.